Alright everybody, hello and welcome to a new video of Artifact Highlight. It's been, what, a year or so since I've last done one of these videos. Essentially, I kind of lost interest in doing them for a while. A lot of the stuff I have isn't what you would consider artifacts per se. Some people might call them junk. Generally, just a recap, if you've never watched these videos before, I like to collect items pertaining to the history of generally Western Pennsylvania, which is where I live, of course. However, there are some exceptions. Cough, cough, German World War II helmet. Anyways, it's been over a year since I've last done one of these. I've got some new items since then. They may or may not be interesting, but the one item I want to talk about is the reason why I've restarted doing my artifact highlight videos. So, I was at a flea market near Blairsville, PA about a month ago, and I bought these two photo albums from the 1930s for $2. I asked where they were, who might have owned them, where they're from. The only information the seller can tell me was that these were taken during the Great Depression and were taken somewhere in and around Ford City, PA. That's all I really knew. So the cool thing was I didn't realize till later on that I grabbed both of these. I thought all the photos were just in here. I didn't realize till later on this actually was also part of the photo album. So both the albums I own definitely come from the 1930s. The actual album itself has a lot of wear and tear, and I'm assuming that this folder, if you look closely, it says Kaufman Studios, Katanning, PA, is where a lot of these earlier photos were developed. Now the interesting thing is, before I continue, the photos generally range from 1933 to 1936, and then there's a jump, and there are a couple photos from 1963, 64. I believe they're all from the same family. The good thing is a lot of the photos in the album, they have names labeled. The problem is they're in cursive, which I am part of a generation that was forsaken with not being taught cursive in school. So apologies if I am struggling to read any of this stuff. Alright, so let's start with the folder itself. Open up here. So I'm assuming a lot of these photos actually came from the album themselves, but since the album's in such poor wear, whoever owned these photos kind of put them into this folder just for some extra space. So generally you can see some of the photos here. Most of the photos are taken on this street in Ford City with this house, both front and there's some in the back. I'll go you up there, you can read the name itself. I believe the family's last name is Francis, and there are a couple other families in here, but I'm assuming it's the Francis family that's all tied in. I would really like to find out who these photos are owned by, which family actually owns these. I kind of feel a little bit guilty personally owning what are pretty much personal family photos, which is, not something I like. I don't want to own. You never know. There might be a family out there who there's all these photos missing, and they never have seen them till now. I'd really appreciate if I can find the people whose family these photos are and be able to deliver them. I looked up trying to find a historical society, but really I couldn't, unless I was looking in the wrong places online. I couldn't find anything for Ford City. I guess the nearest place I would have to go to contact would be Katanning, because that's where a lot of these photos were developed. Actually, a lot of these photos are just more like 1938. Some wedding photos here. Let me get a focus. And I could be here forever really showing all these off. There's 2 albums worth. I'm just trying to go through some of them. So maybe I'll show these in there. There's a nice photo of a farm. Bowers Farm, I believe that's what it says. Alright, so now these here come from the album directly. You'll see in the album in a moment. So more looks like more photos. These look like this one looks like a studio portrait. That one's just blank. Is there anything on the back? Yes, there is. I have a gentleman stand there. Looks like trees. Maybe a picnic grove, possibly. It's on the porch of the house we've been seeing a lot of photos of. And if anybody sincerely recognizes who any of these people are, please let me know in the comments. I would really appreciate finding out who owns these photos. It's a nice one of a lake. Now this here is where there's a break, and I believe these were taken later on in history. Here, the tag just fell off. It says 1934 and then 1966. So these are like fast forwarding time to the 60s. These are way bigger, blown up. I'm assuming it's still same family, probably different people, different generations. It's a nice car there. Of course, I'm not the car person. I believe this one on the back says something about it. This one I have Wide World Photos Incorporated. And these come the whole way from Michigan. Maybe they aren't the same family. I don't know. And here are some, looks like Sunday school photos, church photos. Again, these are taken all these are taken 1964, and well, this one actually has some writing on the back. So here, it's a copy. There was a copy of another one here. Come on, focus, camera. It's like if I focus too close, then the shadow. (1961) these were taken. It's the same thing. And then the rest of them are just copies of this photo here. So either these ones are taken in Fort City or somewhere in Michigan, because the one label had Michigan on the back. Yeah, they're all the same. I'm taking breaks in the video because basically, as you can hear the fan, and then the AC is going to be kicking on in the background right out in the hallway to the left of the camera. So I need to close so I can actually speak during the video, but then my room turns into a freaking sauna. So anyways, we're going to move on now to the actual album itself. These ones are some of the coolest, actually. These were taken during the World's Fair, the 1964 World's Fair in Queens, New York. There you got some photos. This is just New York itself. Oh, one of the photos stuck. Looked like it was taken from the tram or from a building. I'm just kind of guessing. Not familiar with the New York World's Fair. So those may actually have some more historical significance. If you've wondered what happened to my train videos, I've been doing train videos a lot more frequently, but on my new channel, Laurel Highlands Railfan Films. That's where a lot of my focus has been. All right, so this is where we get into a lot. We get into a lot of different photos back in Ford City. Again, this is probably all at the same house. 1931, 1933, 1933, 1934. But this one says Detroit, Michigan. Just noticed that. Yeah, that's definitely either it's Detroit, Michigan, or her name is Rich. I don't, you know. Detroit. Yeah, these are all Detroit. So maybe these aren't Fort City, PA after all. I was told they were Fort City. The album developments indicated that. But the descriptions are saying otherwise, unless it's a family that's sprawled between Michigan and PA. Some more family photos. Okay, so my original fear of them being class photos, I don't think that was the case. They were all taken in the studio, clearly. My apologies on that. Here we have somebody there, definitely flapper era influencing here in 1930. Some blanks, and a lot. You probably saw some of those where some of the photos where I've shown in the folder came from the album. You can tell. Come on, focus. You're not gonna focus, are you? Okay, camera. I'm working on my iPhone. And now this is another interesting photo, peculiar photo. It's labeled the USS Portland, so we have something that we might be able to track. a lot of the names in here, a lot of the people in here, Nancy's usually the first name. I know it says Navy warship, but that remind me. A lot of the names in here, you'll see a Nancy throughout. So, is there a Nancy Francis, possibly, whose family's missing photos? I wonder what that bridge is. Again, taken outside the house. This is probably the backyard house. Is there a label on this one? No. I'm trying to be careful. I'm trying to also show the photos. I'm trying to get close. Maybe somebody at home can read what the names are. There's an older bridge. Now that's definitely Pennsylvania. That's definitely Pennsylvania. So at least makes me a little feel better that some of these were taken in Fort City. You can recognize those markers a mile away. And then some here looks like on a farm, 1932, or that's a very poorly written 38. Oh, don't want to rip it. Here we got this one, and this is what's bugging me because I should be able to find the location. There's definitely what I can identify as reading Leechburg Road. Cars in the field on Leechburg Road. I get on Google Maps, I can't find anything on a Leechburg Road in the Ford City area. Maybe I need to look near the Michigan area. March 1st, 1936. And, well, if this is Pennsylvania, that's just a couple days before the famous St. Patty's Day flood in 1936. I just realized that. Here, move these. Again, Leechburg Road. Leechburg Road. Well, if that's where I'm thinking, that's definitely, looks like maybe a river area where all those rocks are. It's one of those famed boulder fields, which I just visited. That may be actually maybe what it is, a boulder field. But Clay says... Oh, I totally misread this. Okay, so let me go back through this again. I apologize. I misread this completely. Hold on. Focus camera. This isn't cars in a field. Those are definitely rocks. You can see some cars aligning. It's a rock. It's definitely a boulder field what this is photographing. But I don't know of any boulder fields. I do in the area. I do know of one that I was just at, Bluestone. It was the famed Bluestone Rocks family campground, but... So, boulder field, that should narrow down where those photos were taken on a Leechburg Road. Anybody know of a boulder field on a Leechburg Road? Graduation photo there. There's nothing else in the album. So, the photos were taken from 1932 through 1938, and then with a jump to 1961 to 1964. So... those are the two photo albums I bought for $2 at a flea market who are needing of a family. So, if anybody knows who these people possibly are, I'd greatly like to know who they are. I'd be very happy to know. I don't want these photos just to be lost and some families searching them forever, and here they are sitting in somebody's house in Western Pennsylvania. So, I own a couple other photo albums like this. I don't know who really owned them. There's one I'm going to make a new video on here shortly. I think it's on a Taiwan, pulp factory, or something like that. They were taken in 1952, so I do collect photos like this that are just albums and photos that people apparently are missing. So that concludes this episode of Artifact Highlight. I'm going to go edit down all the mistakes I made during words. It's starting to get really hot in my bedroom. Need to open the store back up. For the future of the channel of Readout Productions, used to be called DXP Productions. I renamed it Readout Productions. All my railroading videos are now on Laurel Highlands Railfan Films. I plan this summer to possibly do a new retracing video either on Readout Productions or Laurel Highlands Railfan Films of either the Indian Creek Valley Railroad or the Westmoreland or the Pittsburgh Westmoreland Somerset Railroad. So the Ligonier Valley Railroad video got a lot of hits. It's been it's probably one of my most popular videos I've ever done. So hoping that I'll be able to do something similar with other abandoned railroads in the area, but they'll probably be on the Laurel Highlands Railfan channel. As for Redoubt Productions, I've debated doing movie reviews. I really don't know what new I can offer in terms of movie reviews. I also want to do a series doing cheap construction paper battle maps, and I want to do a mini documentaries on various battles that occurred in the United States, or actually anywhere in the world, but mostly in like my region in the United States, Western Pennsylvania, so like your French and Indian War, as well as other maybe just Civil War battles, anything like that. But it would be like on a construction paper. It kind of meant to be kind of cheek with the construction paper, and me using like red to signify one army, blue to signify the other, on like a green drawn out map. I'm very interested in maps and such like that. So, if you have any input on what you want to see on the channel, just let me know. I'm big into history of Western Pennsylvania, as well as the French and Indian War and the American Civil War. Industrial history is big for me. Railroad is major, but that's on Laurel Highlands Railfan Films. So, thank you for watching, and until next time.